Hey guys, Dan here with Battlefield Curator, and I'm giving you a military surplus collecting news update for today, January 4th, 2023. All right, so the first thing I want to discuss is Royal Tiger Imports just announced that they will be importing Luger pistols. That's right. They got a huge batch coming in probably around the second week of January, so they'll probably inventory and then list them somewhere around mid to late January, and they showcased a few of them in a recent video. So if you haven't seen that video, I've linked it in the description. Essentially, they show a few other surplus pistols as well, like a CZ52. They also had showcased a Borchardt that was in really poor condition. But the cream of the crop, I think, when they showcased their Lugers was a Persian Luger. So it was marked with Farsi on the rear sight, and man, that thing looks spectacular. These Lugers are pretty high priced as it is, so I don't know what their pricing scheme is going to be for these. So if you think that they're going to be high priced, they're probably going to be high priced. All right, the next bit of news that's pretty important and really shows that military surplus collecting demand has kind of gone down a little bit is that the Civilian Marksmanship Park in Anniston, Alabama, the South store, announced that they will be opening back up in January 19th. And they'll be open regular hours, which is 8 to 3, and Thursdays through Saturdays, which means that they'll be back to a regular schedule of staying open now. If you remember, they actually closed the South store and the North store to catch up on mail-in orders during the pandemic, during pretty much the tail end of the pandemic, back in 2021. So this is actually a huge milestone for the CMP opening back up, allowing customers to come to the store and get rifles. Right, you could pick out a rifle right from the rack. And if you don't know about the Civilian Marksmanship Program, they are a nonprofit organization that's government chartered. They sell military surplus, U.S. military surplus weapons to the civilian populace. You have to meet certain requirements to purchase these, but mainly these are M1 Garands. And sometimes they'll have bolt actions like Springfield 1903s. They get them from VFW posts around the nation. They get them from Lend-Lease programs, like they've got batches from Turkey that had come in. They've got a batch from the Philippines that had come in, and a few other countries. So January 19th, I'll be looking forward to that, and I might try to plan a trip out there. All right, and the last bit of news here is I have to mention that this is actually a good sign for long-term military surplus and weaponry collections. That's right. If you hadn't seen it, Fox News posted an article, and it pretty much was Theodore Roosevelt's Smith & Wesson revolver sold at auction recently for $910 plus thousand. That's almost $1 million gun. So essentially, what you're coming to look at is people are paying a little bit higher for some of the rarer, harder to find, and nostalgic collectibles that have a lot of history tied to them. And this actually proves that military surplus collecting should do fairly well in the long term as an alternative asset. So if you haven't seen some of my videos about that, I have talked about how military surplus collecting is more relatable to alternative asset. It's a huge niche in the collecting community for a lot of older folks, and now for a lot of younger folks. The demand for military surplus firearms have gone up recently within the last 5 years. I think that's due to a lot of older generations starting to liquidate their collections, and some of the younger generations that are playing video games, watching movies and TV shows. Some of the millennial generation are now in their 30s and they're able to afford some military surplus collectibles, and they just, they go back to their childhood, and it's like, okay, what did they watch? They watched Saving Private Ryan, Band of Brothers, Platoon, and then now they see these firearms on the shelf, and they say, "Hey, I remember that. It's from that movie." And then you got a lot of younger guys that are playing a lot of video games that are looking at these things like, "Hey, that was in this video game, so I'm going to go buy it." So essentially, I think in the long term, we should be seeing the military surplus collectibles demand go up. Well, that's it for the video, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Are we going to see military surplus collectible firearms demand be a lot higher in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years? Are we going to see the prices go up? I mean, we're talking about these weapons tied to a very significant time in history, the World Wars, the Industrial Revolution era, the Firearms Revolution era, the invention of smokeless powder, firearms innovation. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. But let me know what you guys think. And if you like this kind of content, be sure to pulverize the like button and subscribe for the algorithms. It really helps out with the algorithms. And also, be sure to share this content with your compadres who also might be interested. And as I always like to say, be sure to learn history and curate history. Make it a great day.